You've tried everything to heal your trauma. Therapy, meditation, pills, but that crushing weight in your chest keeps returning. There's an invisible prison locked inside your nervous system that conventional medicine completely misses. A physicist discovered how tiny movements can unlock these biological chains faster than years of talk therapy. Once you understand how trauma lives in your body, you can finally dissolve it from within. Are you ready to feel what real liberation actually feels like? The story of your pain is not just a memory. It is a physical reality, etched into the very fabric of your being. Trauma is not a ghost haunting the mind. It is a weight held deep within the body's forgotten spaces, the subtle clenching in the solar plexus, the shallow breath that never reaches the diaphragm, the unconscious armor of a thoracic cage braced for an impact that never comes. These are the physical patterns of survival, crystallized into a silent prison that conventional medicine often overlooks, leaving the root cause untouched. Within this embodied fortress, your true creative power lies dormant, shackled by reflexes of a past you can no longer consciously recall. But there exists a key to unlock these silent prisons, a path discovered not by a psychologist, but by a physicist who turned his genius inward. Moshe Feldenkrais understood that the human body and nervous system operate on a logic of their own, a logic accessible through movement. He pioneered a somatic approach, revealing that profound transformation arises not from force, but from refined awareness. His work demonstrates how seemingly insignificant movements, subtle micro-variations almost too small to see, can bypass the armor of habitual defense and speak directly to the brain. This is applied neuroplasticity in its purest form. These are not exercises of strength, but delicate questions posed to your nervous system in its native language. Through this conscious attention, dormant neurological circuits awaken. The frozen patterns of trauma begin to thaw, releasing vast reserves of trapped energy that have been fueling anxiety and limitation. This is the process of transmuting the dense lead of chronic pain into the radiant gold of embodied, creative power. Here, healing is redefined. It is not an excavation of the past, but a re-education of the self in the present moment. This is an invitation to begin that journey now, to feel for yourself how the smallest, most intentional shifts can initiate a revolution within your own body, offering a liberation you can finally feel. The core problem, then, is not a failing of your will, but a consequence of your biology. Every experience of threat, whether real or perceived, has been meticulously recorded by your nervous system. These recordings are not abstract memories. They are functional patterns, automatic responses that have become your default way of being. This is the architecture of your survival, and it has served you. But now, that very architecture has become a cage. This embodied trauma manifests as a chronically held breath that never reaches the diaphragm, a subtle tension around the solar plexus, or a stiffness in the cervical spine that limits not just your movement, but your very perspective on the world. These are not random aches. They are the physical imprints of your history, silently dictating the boundaries of your life. Herein lies the profound promise of neuroplasticity. The brain, and by extension the entire nervous system, is not a fixed monument, but a dynamic, living map capable of being redrawn. This is where somatic education, specifically the elegant work of the Feldenkrais Method, offers a key. It operates on a simple, yet revolutionary principle. To change the mind, you must first engage the body in a new conversation. It uses gentle, conscious movements not to build muscle, but to provide your brain with new, higher quality information about itself. This is the moment of emotional escalation, a dawning realization that the tightness in your shoulders or the clench in your gut is not just stress, it is the scar tissue of an old story. A quiet curiosity begins to stir within you. What if the path to releasing the past is not through analyzing it, but through feeling it differently, right now? What if the key to unlocking your full creative power lies dormant in these very patterns of tension? This is the invitation to stop fighting your body and instead begin to listen to its wisdom, to discover how to finally heal from within. This wisdom speaks through the language of sensation, a dialect communicated along the vast, intricate network of the vagus nerve. This is the central channel of your embodied experience, the biological superhighway connecting your brain to your gut, your heart, and your lungs. Drawing from the map of Polyvagal Theory, we understand that this nerve is the master switch for your entire nervous system, capable of shifting you from a state of defensive threat to one of social engagement and safety. The patterns of trauma lock this switch into a perpetual state of high alert, constricting your breath and tightening the core. You have been living in a physiological state of emergency, even when the coast is clear. Here, the genius of the Feldenkrais Method reveals itself as a somatic bridge to a new reality. The micro-variations it employs, movements, so small they are more akin to thoughts, are a form of direct communication with this deep biological intelligence. Each gentle, conscious tilt of the pelvis or subtle rotation of the thoracic spine sends novel sensory information up the vagus nerve. These are not commands shouted at the body. They are quiet questions that whisper to your nervous system. Is there another way? A way with less effort? A way with more ease? This is neuroplasticity in its most elegant application. Instead of fighting the old, rigid patterns of survival, you are simply offering your brain a more pleasant, efficient alternative. The brain, in its relentless pursuit of efficiency, cannot help but choose the path of lesser resistance. This is how the transformation begins. It dawns on you that profound change does not require monumental force. The key to unlocking years of frozen energy, the key to awakening your latent creative power, is not a battering ram, but a subtle, intentional, and deeply felt shift. This realization is a quiet revolution, a spark of hope that feels both astonishing and profoundly accessible. Let us begin this work now, not as an intellectual exercise, but as a direct, embodied exploration. The journey inward requires a quiet space, a moment of intentional stillness. Find a place where you can sit comfortably or lie down on the floor where you will not be disturbed. Give yourself this permission. We will now explore 3 specific somatic codes, a series of gentle, conscious movements inspired by the Feldenkrais Method. These are not stretches or exercises in the traditional sense. Think of them as keys, each designed to fit a specific lock within your nervous system: the held breath in the diaphragm, the armored tension around the solar plexus, the subtle bracing in your thoracic cage. These patterns of trauma are the guardians of your most potent, untapped creative power. As you settle, bring your awareness to your breath. No need to change it. Simply notice its rhythm, its depth. This simple act of conscious attention is the first step. You are signaling to your body that you are ready to listen, to learn its hidden language. With each breath you take, feel the gentle stir of anticipation. This is not a test to be passed, but a conversation to be had. The goal is not perfection, but awareness. Here, in this quiet space, you stand at the threshold of a profound transformation. The promise is that through these subtle micro-variations, you can offer your brain new information, a more efficient and pleasurable way of being. You are about to engage your own neuroplasticity directly, to begin the process of redrawing the maps that have defined the boundaries of your life. Feel the significance of this moment. With your very next breath, you are choosing to step out of the old story and into the felt reality of your own liberation. The first of these somatic codes begins with the breath, the very rhythm of your life force, so often held captive by the silent armor around your solar plexus. Let your attention rest there, in the center of your torso. Without forcing anything, simply invite a slow, conscious inhale through your nose. Feel for its journey. Does it stop high in the chest? A shallow guest, or does it travel deeper, allowing your belly to gently rise and expand? This is not about achieving a full breath. It is about feeling the boundary of your current pattern. Now, on the exhale, simply let it go. Let the air release without effort, and notice any subtle resistance, any holding in the muscles around your diaphragm. This is the echo of an old fear, a physical memory of needing to stay small and protected. We are not here to fight it, but to offer it a new possibility. Introduce a micro-variation. As you lie or sit, make the smallest, most comfortable arch in your lower back, gently tilting your pelvis forward by an inch. Now invite the breath again. Can you sense how this tiny shift in your structure changes the pathway of the air? This new sensation is a novel piece of information being sent directly to your nervous system. You are consciously providing a different option, a path of greater ease. This is the language your body understands. This is how you begin to rewrite the ingrained somatic patterns of trauma. Stay with this for another moment. As the old constriction begins to yield to this new conscious awareness, you may feel a subtle shift. It might be a warmth spreading through your chest or a feeling of unexpected lightness in your gut. This is not imagination. This is your biology responding. It is the first thawing of frozen energy, the first sign that your body is ready to let go of its defensive posture. This quiet sense of relief is the dawn of your embodied transformation. Now, allow that gentle awareness to travel upward from your solar plexus into your chest. Bring your attention to the entire structure of your thoracic cage, the area around your heart and lungs. This is often a fortress of embodied silence, a shield built from years of protective tension. We will now introduce the second somatic code, designed to soften this armor and foster a new capacity for connection. Begin to roll your shoulders in tiny, almost imperceptible circles. Make the movement so small, so gentle, that it feels more like a thought than a physical effort. These are not stretches. They are the micro-variations that form the core of the Feldenkrais Method. With each slow rotation, feel how this subtle motion sends ripples of new information through the muscles of your chest, back, and ribs. Notice your breath. As this hardened pattern begins to receive these quiet questions, does the air find new pathways? Is there a millimeter more space for the inhale? This conscious movement is a direct invitation to your nervous system to reconsider its defensive posture. As the old, rigid patterns yield, a profound sense of vulnerability may surface. This is the sensation of your protective walls thinning. Do not retreat from it. Instead, notice what accompanies it: a surprising ease, an unfamiliar sense of openness within your own chest. This is your neuroplasticity at work, your brain discovering a more efficient, more pleasant way to be. It is the body learning, in its own language, that safety can coexist with openness. You are feeling the somatic pathway to deeper human connection being cleared, one conscious movement at a time. The fortress is becoming a sanctuary. Finally, let this new sense of openness travel upward into the delicate and crucial structure of your cervical spine. This is the third somatic code, targeting the subtle, chronic tension in your neck, a final gateway that so often holds our very voice and expression captive. The patterns of trauma here can create a veritable prison for your creative power, stifling the flow between mind and world. Allow your head to tilt ever so slightly to one side, as if listening for a distant sound. The movement should be infinitesimally small, a micro-variation that requires no strain. This is not about stretching the muscles, but about exploring the pathway of ease. Feel the weight of your head as it shifts, and notice how this subtle change sends a cascade of new sensory information through your entire system. This conscious, gentle inquiry speaks directly to the vagus nerve, which travels through this precise territory, signaling to your brain that it is safe to release its protective clenching. You are offering your nervous system a more efficient, pleasurable alternative to its habitual patterns of defense. As you explore these tiny tilts and rotations, a profound sense of lightness may begin to blossom at the base of your skull. This is more than muscular relief. It is the physical sensation of a dam beginning to break. The energy that was once bound up and holding your head just so is now being liberated. This is your embodied transformation, felt in real time. This is the feeling of your own neuroplasticity awakening. With this emerging freedom in your neck, you may sense the stirring of unspoken words, of dormant ideas now finding a clearer channel. A quiet, thrilling excitement arises as you realize the vast reservoir of creative power that was waiting just behind this final gate. You are not just releasing tension, you are reclaiming your voice. This is not a theoretical promise. It is an observable reality. Consider the story of Elena, a successful somatic therapist who understood the maps of trauma intellectually better than anyone. Yet her own body told a different story. Her rounded shoulders curved inward, a permanent unconscious defense of her thoracic cage. Her breath was a shallow, hesitant thing that never dared to descend below her chest, held captive by a perpetually braced diaphragm. Professionally, she guided others toward their power, but her own voice was a quiet whisper, her presence shrinking from any hint of confrontation. She was a living vessel of embodied silence, her own creative power locked away by the very patterns she helped others dissolve. It was through her engagement with the subtle, conscious movements of the Feldenkrais Method that the change began. She did not force her shoulders back or strain to take a deeper breath. Instead, she explored the micro-variations, the tiny, effortless questions posed to her nervous system. She felt how a gentle tilt of her pelvis created a new pathway for air, how an infinitesimal rotation of her spine sent novel information to the muscles that had held her in a state of defense for decades. Her body, through the language of the vagus nerve, was receiving a new message. The threat was over. It was safe to soften. It was safe to expand. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the old patterns began to cede. The armor around her solar plexus yielded. Her breath, for the first time in years, found its way down into her belly. As the tension in her cervical spine released, her voice found a new resonance, a clear and grounded tone. This was her embodied transformation. Alana's story is a mirror, reflecting the profound potential that lies dormant within your own patterns of tension. Her liberation is not an exception. It is the inherent promise of your own neuroplasticity, a testament to the creative power that awakens when you finally learn to have a new, more conscious conversation with your body. And yet, a part of you may remain skeptical. A logical voice might ask, can these simple movements, these micro-variations, truly heal something as deep and complex as trauma? This is a valid question, born from a lifetime of being told that profound change requires monumental effort, that healing is a battle to be won. But the Feldenkrais Method does not operate on the logic of force. It operates on the logic of the nervous system itself. The answer lies in the fundamental nature of neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a stubborn monolith, but a dynamic information processing system constantly seeking efficiency. The frozen patterns of trauma persist, not because they are strong, but because they are the only patterns your nervous system knows. They are a deeply rutted, inefficient road it has traveled for years. These conscious, somatic explorations do not try to blast a new road with dynamite. Instead, they present your brain with a new, exquisitely paved pathway of greater ease and pleasure. Each subtle movement is a new piece of high-quality sensory data. You are not commanding the body to change. You are providing it with a superior choice. Your brain, in its innate drive for optimization, cannot help but prefer the path of less resistance. This is how the transformation takes root. It is not an overnight miracle. These somatic patterns were etched over years, and this re-education of your embodied self requires patience and consistency. As this understanding settles, feel the architecture of your doubt begin to shift. The intellectual resistance softens, replaced by a quiet, tentative curiosity. A new trust begins to form, not in an external promise, but in the inherent intelligence of your own body. You start to sense that the path to reclaiming your creative power is not a war against your past, but a conscious, gentle dialogue with your present. The potential for healing feels less like a distant hope and more like an innate, accessible capacity, waiting to be awakened. And yet, as you explore these movements, you may encounter resistance. It may arise as a sudden stiffness, a flicker of emotional discomfort, or even a wave of disbelief that something so gentle could possibly work. Your mind might insist this is pointless, that true change requires struggle. This is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you have arrived at the very edge of the old familiar pattern. You are feeling the gravitational pull of a nervous system that has learned to equate this specific tension with survival. It is clinging to the cage because it has forgotten the feeling of the open sky. This resistance is the guardian at the gate of your transformation. These somatic patterns are the deeply ingrained language of your trauma, and your nervous system is simply continuing the conversation it has been having for years. To introduce a new dialect of ease and pleasure can feel at first like a profound threat to this established order. The discomfort you feel is the old armor protesting its own dissolution. It is the sound of the frozen fortress beginning to thaw, and the process is not always silent or smooth. This is a crucial moment in your re-education. Herein lies the profound wisdom of the Feldenkrais Method. When you meet this resistance, your task is not to force your way through it. Do not push harder or demand that the body surrender. Instead, do the opposite. Back away. Make the movement even smaller, even slower, more gentle. Ask a quieter question. This is the essence of this somatic work. To find the path of least resistance, to offer your brain an alternative so pleasurable and efficient that it chooses the new way on its own. By choosing gentleness in the face of this tension, you are performing an act of profound courage. You are consciously overriding the primitive impulse to fight or flee, and instead, you are choosing to listen. Each time you persist with these micro-variations, you are casting a vote for a new way of being, strengthening the neural pathways of safety and trust. This is how your creative power is reclaimed, not with a roar, but with a persistent, conscious whisper of ease. Feel this quiet determination solidify within you. You are learning to guide your own healing, trusting the deep, somatic intelligence of your own body. This re-education of your nervous system need not be confined to a mat on the floor. The true power of this work unfolds when you weave these somatic codes into the very fabric of your daily life. The principles of the Feldenkrais Method are designed for this integration, turning everyday moments into opportunities for profound, embodied change. When you feel the familiar clench of stress, a demanding email, a difficult conversation, let that be your cue. Pause for a single breath. Instead of bracing against the feeling, bring your awareness to your solar plexus. Invite that first somatic code of ease, feeling for the subtle release in your diaphragm. This is not an escape. It is a conscious act of providing your body with a new response to an old trigger. Before entering a social gathering, take a moment to introduce the second code. As you sit in your car or stand by the door, explore those tiny, imperceptible rolls of your thoracic cage. You are gently reminding your nervous system that it is safe to soften its armor, to meet the world with openness instead of defense. Each time you consciously choose one of these micro-variations, you are actively engaging in your own transformation. This is not about achieving perfection, but about consistent, conscious repetition. Every small act reinforces the new, more efficient neural pathways you are building. This is neuroplasticity, not as a distant scientific concept, but as a felt reality. A quiet, thrilling realization begins to dawn within you. The tools for your own liberation are not complex or out of reach. They are as simple and accessible as your own breath and movement. This dawning sense of agency is the true emotional core of this journey. It is the feeling of taking back the reins of your own biology, sparking a deep and lasting commitment to continue this path of reclaiming your power from within. This transformation, however, is not a solitary event contained within the boundaries of your own skin. The coherence you cultivate within your nervous system begins to radiate outward, subtly yet profoundly altering the very fabric of your reality. As the old, reactive patterns of trauma dissolve through these conscious movements, you begin to engage with the world from a place of grounded safety. Conversations that once triggered a defensive clench in your solar plexus are now met with an open, curious presence. You listen differently. You speak differently. The embodied armor that once created a barrier between you and others has thinned, allowing for a depth of connection that was previously unimaginable. This is the larger promise of the Feldenkrais Method. It is not merely a tool for personal comfort, but a gateway to a more resonant way of living. The creative power that was once shackled by the chronic tension in your thoracic cage and cervical spine is now free to flow into your work, your passions, and your relationships. Ideas emerge with a newfound clarity. Your voice carries a resonance of authentic self-possession. This is your neuroplasticity expressed not just as an internal shift, but as a tangible change in your capacity to shape your world. A profound realization begins to crystallize within this new state of being. You understand that healing your own trauma is not a selfish act. It is a fundamental contribution to the whole. By recalibrating your own nervous system, you become a source of regulation for those around you. Your ease becomes an invitation for others to find their own. This journey, which began as an intimate, somatic exploration to release personal pain, reveals itself as something far greater. It is the path to reclaiming your place in the world, not as a survivor defined by old patterns, but as a conscious creator, embodying the very change you wish to see. A quiet, unshakable sense of purpose fills your heart, born from this deeply felt connection to a life of limitless possibility. This state of embodied coherence is not a peak to be conquered and then abandoned. It is a living reality to be tended. The path forward is one of maintenance, of sustaining this profound shift by refining your awareness of your body's most subtle signals. This is where the true integration of the Feldenkrais insights begins, weaving this new consciousness into the moments between the moments. Throughout your day, create small pockets of somatic inquiry. Pause and check in with your breath. Is it rising high into the chest, a sign of the old pattern returning, or is it allowed the freedom to descend, gently mobilizing your diaphragm? Bring your attention to your solar plexus. Is there a familiar clenching or a sense of soft, responsive presence? Feel for the relationship between your head and your cervical spine. Can you invite a micro variation of ease, a subtle release that reminds your nervous system of its new, more efficient option? This conscious, consistent practice is the key to lasting transformation. Each check-in is a gentle reinforcement, ensuring the new neural pathways of safety and openness remain the most accessible route for your nervous system. You are actively preventing the insidious creep of old trauma patterns, keeping them from reforming their rigid, silent armor. This is how you protect the channel for your creative power, ensuring it remains clear and unobstructed. As you engage in this daily cultivation, a quiet, thrilling certainty takes root. The feeling of ongoing liberation becomes tangible, not a fleeting memory of an exercise, but a durable state of being you can actively choose, moment by moment. This solidifies into a deep, internal resolve, a commitment to meet your life with this newfound somatic precision, fiercely and gently protecting the freedom you have finally reclaimed for yourself. This journey does not end here. It is where your new embodied life truly begins. The core message is this: profound transformation is born not from force, but from precision. Your body is not a problem to be solved, but a living laboratory where the dense, limiting patterns of trauma can be consciously rewritten. Through the subtle intelligence of the Feldenkrais Method, the very source of your old pain becomes the wellspring of your greatest creative strength. You have learned the language of your own nervous system, and now you can have a new conversation. If this exploration has resonated with you, if you have felt even a flicker of this new potential, then join the community that is walking this path. Acknowledge the value of this work by liking this video. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications to continue this re-education of your embodied self. Share this with anyone you know who is seeking a way to heal from within, to move beyond the old stories held in the body. To solidify your own commitment, to cast your vote for this new way of being, go to the comments section and affirm your journey by writing, "I transformed through my body." Let your words join a chorus of others who are reclaiming their power. To continue this somatic exploration immediately, click on the next video appearing on your screen now. Carry this newfound awareness with you. Feel the quiet, unshakable power that now resides in your solar plexus, the open readiness in your chest, the liberated channel of your voice. You are no longer defined by the reflexes of the past. You are the conscious creator of your own embodied future.